Hi, I'm Landon, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to make Pac-Man in Scratch. We should get started by maybe making the level for our game. So to do that, we're going to hover over this button that says choose a background, and we're going to click the paintbrush. This is going to allow us to make our own background. But right now this background is empty, and we actually don't want an empty background to start off with. So instead of us creating something from scratch, we're going to click this button in the bottom left hand corner, scroll down, and we're going to select this background here, the XY grid 20 pixel background. Alright, so now that we have that loaded, we're going to click this button here that says convert to vector. Alright, we want to make sure that we have the color blue selected, and then we're going to draw a rectangle 4 grid blocks away from the left side and 4 grid blocks away from the right side. This blue rectangle is going to be the border of our level. We're going to use the select tool to select the grid and then click this forward button, and now the border of our level is behind the grid. We can then use the rectangle tool again and select a black color to draw the inside of our level, which we're going to draw 5 grid blocks away from the left and 1 from the top, and 5 grid blocks from the right and 1 from the bottom. So just there. Now that we've done that, we can use our select tool again and select the grid and then click backwards, and now we can see our level. It is an empty level with a blue border. So let's add a couple more things to it. Let's first add a grid that fits inside of our level, so it will make it easier for us to draw walls and other things in our maze in general. And we will do this by clicking this button in the bottom left corner and just selecting the same grid again. There it is. But we don't want the full size of our grid, or the full size of this grid. Instead, we want to cut out a chunk of it. We want to draw a rectangle from the left side, 4 blocks away from the left side and 1 from the top, and 5 blocks away from the right side and 1 from the bottom. So it would look like this. See, 5 blocks on the right side, 5 blocks on the left side, and 1 block on each side, top and bottom. So now that we have that selected, we can click copy, and we're going to paste that just in here. And now you see that we have a grid that fits inside of our level. Next, we're going to start drawing some of the walls in our level. You can design your maze however you'd like, but something my maze and your maze should have in common is that they should both have this tunnel on the left and right side. This tunnel is going to be used in the game to move from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen without having to walk the full length. Instead, you would just have to walk through this tunnel and you'll end up on the right side, and vice versa. We will do the same thing here on the right side, just like that. And now that we've done that, we can continue to add some walls into our maze. I'm not going to draw all of the maze. I'm just going to draw a couple example blocks because I already have a level that I'm going to be using for this tutorial that is pre-made. These are purely just to be for an example. So let's say this is finished, and this is the maze I want to use in my Pac-Man game. Then to finish the level, I would just select the inner grid, or the grid that's inside of our level, and click delete, and now that is deleted. And then I would do the same to the outer grid. I would select it and click delete, and now that is also deleted. And then I would convert to bitmap, and then I would fill in the transparent parts of my level, not with black, but with a gray. Make sure it is a gray. just like this. So now that we've done that, there would be one more step, and that is to fill or remove these parts of your level. And again, this is so that Pac-Man is able to move from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen by just passing through this tunnel. And I will show you and work more on that later in the code. And that would be your finished level. Now I am not going to use that level. Instead, I will use this level, which has more walls and looks more like a maze. So now that we have our level, I am going to remove the cat, and instead I'm going to draw Pac-Man to be our player. So I click this button and then click the paintbrush, and now we can continue on to draw Pac-Man. I'm going to select a yellow color, and then I am going to draw a small circle just there, and make sure he is the right size for your level. So I'm going to shrink him down until he fits inside my level. That is close. A little bit smaller. Fantastic. Alright, so this is the first frame of animation where his mouth is closed. I will right click costume 1 and click duplicate, and this will be the second frame of animation where his mouth is open. To draw his mouth, I am going to select the line tool and draw a line from the center of the circle outwards and make a triangle. Just like that, and then I will fill in the triangle, and there we are. That's what that looks like right there. It looks like Pac-Man. I'm going to shave down the edges of the triangle, just like that. But besides that, I think that is all we have to do for the Pac-Man costumes. So we are going to continue on to animate Pac-Man. Let's move over to the code tab, and then we'll go to events and grab the green flag block. And then let's go to control and grab the forever loop. Inside the forever loop, we'll put the wait 1 second block, and we'll wait 0.08 seconds. Then under the 0.8 seconds, we'll change our costume, or we'll go to the next costume. And what that looks like is just like this. So every 0.08 seconds, he changes his costume. So now we have Pac-Man, and he's opening and closing his mouth. But let's add some movement to our game so that he is able to move around our level. To do that, we're going to go to events, grab the green flag, then we'll go to control and grab the forever loop, and then we'll add 4 if statements inside the forever loop. So there are our 4 if statements, and we'll put those inside of our forever loop. And now we're going to be checking if we are pressing the up, down, left, right arrow keys, and if we are, then we're going to move in that direction. So if pressing up, we are going to change our direction to 0, just like this. And then if we are pressing right, we are going to change our direction to 90. So if key pressed is right arrow, change direction to 90. And we'll continue on to do the other 2, which are going to be left arrow, which is going to be -90, just like that, and then down arrow, which is 180. Now that we've done that, and we're facing in the direction that we're pressing, we want to move in that direction. So to do that, we're going to go to motion and grab the move 10 step blocks and change 10 to 3. And now we are able to move around our level. It seems like I've made a mistake. We cannot move left. Every time it is because this should be down arrow. Alright. You probably didn't make the same mistake I did. So the next step would be adding collision into our game. As you can see, we are able to move through the walls, and we do not want that to be the case. So what we will do is we'll stop the game, and we can go to costumes, And we're going to add a dot in front of Pac-Man. This dot is going to be used to check if we're touching a wall or not. Make sure your dot is a darker color. It doesn't need to be a darker color, but if it is, then it blends in better with the dark background. But it should not be black. I chose a dark red, and I just put a dark red dot in front of Pac-Man just like that. Now that I've done that, I'm going to move Pac-Man into a place where I can see the dot. There's the dot there. And then we can continue coding. We're going to go to Control and grab an if statement. And then in the if statement, we're going to check if a color is touching another color. Those two colors are going to be the color of the dot. Let me see if I can select it. There it is. So the color of the dot, and the second color is going to be the color of the wall. And if those two colors are touching, then I want to move -3 steps. And that will move Pac-Man out of the wall. So let's move him out of that wall, and now you can see that whenever I run into a wall, he stops, and we now can't go through walls. Fantastic. I would say the next step is to add the pellets to our game, the dots that Pac-Man eats. To do that, we're just going to hover over this button again, and then click the paintbrush to make our own sprite. And for the dots, I'm just going to draw a white dot, just like this. Let's just there. Let's make it a little bit smaller. It's too big. We'll also want to remove the outline. Maybe a bit smaller. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and we can remove the outline to. There we are. Okay, so now that we've done that, remove the outline, we are going to clone the dots so that there's more than one. But before that, we want to make sure we move our dot to the top left corner of our level. And once we do that, we want to go to Events and grab a green flag block and make sure we set the dot's position to the top left corner every time. And for me, the top left corner is -130 to 151. It might be different for you. Then I am going to go to Control and grab 2 repeat blocks. The first repeat block is going to be 21. It's going to repeat 21 times, and the second repeat block is going to repeat 17 times. Inside the second repeat block, we're going to clone ourselves, and then we're going to go to Motion and grab this block here that says Change X by, and we're going to change X by 18. In the first repeat loop, we're going to set X to whatever number this is. So it is -130, just like that. And then we're going to change Y by a -16. And what that does is, if I run, you can see that we're cloning rows of dots that cover the length of our level. You can also see that we're spawning and cloning dots on top of the walls, which isn't what we want. It actually seems like we're not spawning enough dots here at the end. So let's fix that. Let's add a couple more rows. Let's add, or it seems like Scratch is slowing down for a second. We will just wait until it comes back. It's almost done. So I think you'll have this problem as well. And the reason it is doing this is just because I think we're just spawning too many clones is what the problem is. So to fix that, we want to delete some of the clones. And that goes hand in hand with our other problem, which was that we were spawning clones on top of the walls. So what we'll do is we're going to go to Control and grab the When I Start as Clone block. And when I start as clone or if I'm touching the color of the wall, then we want to delete this clone. I think this will solve both of our problems, where we're spawning too many clones and spawning clones on top of the walls. And now you'll see that we have quite a few dots now, and it doesn't seem like our game is slowing down any. Also, no dots are spawning on top of the walls. If you look here in the bottom left corner, you can see a dot on a wall, but that is just the original dot. To hide that, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Looks and grab a hide block. Grab a hide block and place it here under the green flag, and then we're also going to make sure we see the clones, and that should fix that. While this is running, we're going to add onto this When I Start as a Clone code so that we are able to pick up and eat the dots. So we're going to go to Control and grab a forever loop. Inside the forever loop, we're going to grab an if statement, and then inside sensing, we're going to be checking if we are touching Pac-Man, and if we are, then we will just simply delete this clone. Now, whenever I walk over a dot, I am able to eat it, and that dot disappears. I say for now this is fine for the dots, and I say we could move on to programming the ghosts. Let's first draw a ghost. We're going to hover over this button and then click the paintbrush. And let's draw Blinky, the red ghost. So we'll grab a red color, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle here, and then a circle for his head, just like that. And then let's draw some of his feet, or I don't know what these are. Ghosts have them. They're like, I don't know what they are. They're just, that's what a ghost looks like. There we go. And now he has eyes too. They're more like circles than ovals. Those might be too big. Shrink those down. There we go. There's our red ghost friend. Nice. Okay, so he needs pupils too, because he looks creepy. And he's not a creepy ghost. He's a, well, he is kind of a creepy ghost, but he does have pupils. I guess that's my point. Alright, so that's fine. Let's shrink him down because he is much too big. And just like this. And a little bit more. Let's drag him into the middle. A little bit more. We want him to be able to fit in our level, and I would say that's pretty close. Might be too small. Fantastic. Alright, so we have our ghost now. Let's continue on to program the ghost. We are going to grab a green flag block. Then we're going to go to forever, or we're going to go to Control and grab a forever loop. Inside the forever loop, we're going to make 2 if statements. Then we are going to go to options, and basically we want to check if the distance between Pac-Man, basically we want to check if we're not touching Pac-Man, then we want to move towards Pac-Man, right? And so to do that, we want to first say grab a more than operator. Then we're going to grab an absolute math function block. Then we're going to grab a subtraction operator, and then we're going to go to motion. And we want to grab our x position, and we want to check if the difference between our x position and Pac-Man's x position, which we can grab by going to sensing and grabbing this block, and changing this to sprite 1 and this to X position. And we want to check if it's more than 1. And if it is, then we want to move towards Pac-Man. So we're going to grab 2 more, or make 2 more if statements here. And then we're going to go to operators and check if our X position is more than Pac-Man's X position. And at this point, we're going to make 2 variables. So we're going to go to variables and click this button that says make a variable. And the first variable we're going to create is a variable called X. And then we're going to say make a variable called Y. All right. Now for some reason it's not showing up here. Oh, there it is. All right. There's our X and Y position, or X and Y variables. There they are. Okay, so then we're going to set X to -1 if X position is more than Pac-Man's X position. But if our X position is less than Pac-Man's X position, then we want to add 1 to X, or set X to 1. And that will basically be it for X, except along with just changing the X variable, we also want to change our X position to whatever the variable is equal to. So, or change X by whatever the variable is equal to. Basically what I'm saying is we're going to head over to motion, grab this change X by block and put it under our 2 if statements. Then we're going to go to variables and grab the X variable block and place it inside the change X by block, just like that. And now if I run the game, you can see that my ghost is moving towards me, only on the X axis, mind you, but he is heading towards me and he will follow me on the X axis. But we haven't done anything for the Y, so why don't we do that? So we're just going to duplicate all of our X code and place it down here. So we're going to change X position here to Y position. So we're going to go to motion, grab Y position, and put that in the first slot of the subtraction operator block. And we're going to change this to Y position. We don't have to get a new block for that. We're going to remove this X position and duplicate this. And so it's a Y position now, and same here, Y position. Change this to Y, this to Y position, duplicate, paste, this to Y, and this to Y. Now I'll have to get a new block for this. I'll go to motion and grab the change Y by block, and then I'll go to variables and change Y by Y. Very cool. So now he is able to follow me on both axes, X and Y. But as you can see, a problem that we have is that he's able to go through walls, which is a ghost thing, but that's not what Pac-Man ghosts do. So we're going to fix that by stopping our game. We're going to go to control and grab an if statement and place that under our change X by block. Then we're going to go to sensing and grab a touching color block. And we want to check if we're touching the color of the wall. And if we are, then we want to change X by, so we're going to motion, change X by X. So we're just going to duplicate X there and put it off to the side, or you can grab it from variables if you'd like. And then we're going to go to operators and grab the multiplication operator and put our X block inside there. And we want to multiply it by not 2, but -1. So that's basically going to flip it. So if X is a positive number, now it's a negative number, and vice versa. And so that's going to move us, or that's going to move the ghost out of the wall. And we'll want to do the same thing for Y. So we're going to go to control and grab an if statement, put that right under the change Y by, and we're going to go to sensing and grab the touch and color block, change the color to the color of the walls. Not quite, I clicked the black, so sweet, I got it. And now we're going to go to motion, and we're going to change Y by Y multiplied by -1. So we'll grab the multiplication operator and -1, and then we'll go to variables, and we want to change Y by Y multiplied by -1. And now he should not be able to go through walls. It also seems like he's slightly stuck there. So let's move him out of there. He might be too large for our level. But you see, he's not going through the walls. Well, there you go. I think that's pretty good. Although, it's much too easy, especially since he gets stuck on the walls, which is something that we could try to fix, but I think maybe an easier solution is just to have more ghosts. So, to do that, we're just going to go to Events and grab a green flag block, or actually, maybe a better idea is just to take this green flag block, detach all of our code, and we'll use this one instead. What we're going to do is we're going to grab our ghost. There's our ghost, and we're going to grab him and put him in the top left corner. Okay. And then we're going to go to motion, and we're going to go to that position, which is -128 and 150 for me. And then we're going to move them to the right, the top right corner. And you see that these numbers change, and that is the coordinate to the top right of my level. And then I'm going to move them to the bottom right, and you'll see that go to changes again, and that is the coordinate to the bottom right. And then I'm going to move them to the bottom left, and you see this changes once more, and that's the coordinate to the bottom left corner of my level. So now that we have those coordinates, we're going to start cloning the ghost. To do that, I am going to go to Control and grab this create clone of myself block and place it under each go-to block, just like this. Along with that, I want to make sure that the original is hidden so that we only have 4 ghosts and not 5. And then here, I'm going to go to Control and grab the When I Start as Clone block, place it there, and make sure that our clones are visible. And now that I've done that, we should have 4 ghosts, and they are coming after me. Now you'll see that that one ghost is right on top of me, but nothing's changing, nothing's happening. So right now we have 3 more things that we have to do for our project to be finished. We have to, 1, make the ghosts be able to attack Pac-Man, and so that we are able to lose our game. We should be able to win our game by eating all of the pellets, and we should be able to move to the right side of the screen by going through this left tunnel, and move to the left side of the screen by going through this right tunnel. So let's get to those those steps, those problems. So the first thing that we'll do is have the ghosts be able to eat Pac-Man. To do that, we're just going to go to Control, grab an if statement, put it right here at the top of our forever loop, and inside the if statement we're going to check if we're touching Pac-Man, sprite 1, and if we are, then we're just simply going to stop the game. Then in Pac-Man, we want to check if, our next thing that we're going to do is have him be able to loop from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen, which is actually easier than you might think. What we'll do is we'll grab one if statement and one if else statement, and we'll put the if else statement inside the if statement, just like that. And in the if statement, we're going to check if we're touching the gray color. And if we are, then we want to check if our X position. So we're going to go to motion and grab X position. And if our X position is less than 0, that means we're on the left side of the screen. And if we are, then we want to go to the right side of the screen. So we're going to move our Pac-Man over here to the right. And that is at 125 and 11 for me. And I'm going to go to motion and say go to 125, 11. But if my X position is not less than 0, that means I'm on the right side, and I want to go on, I'm on the right side and I want to go to the left side. So I move my Pac-Man over to the left and I say go there. And now what that does is whenever I go through these tunnels, it loops me around the screen. So we've done that problem, and you can see also that the ghosts are able to eat me. And to solve our very last problem, which is being able to win our game, being able to eat all of the pellets and win our game, to do that, we're going to make 2 new variables. So we're going to go to variables and make a variable called score. And then we're also going to make a variable called max score, just like that. We're then going to go to the pellet and make sure that both of those are set to 0 at the beginning of our program. And then if we, every time we create a new clone of ourselves, we want to increase max score by 1. And every time we delete a clone of ourselves, we want to remove or decrease max score by 1. And every time Pac-Man eats a pellet, every time Pac-Man eats a pellet, we want to increase score by 1 like this. Or one more step. We're going to go to control and grab an if statement and put that at the top of our forever loop. And now we're going to go to operators, and we want to check if score is equal to max score, and if it is, that means we've eaten all of the pellets and that we have won the game. So we're just going to say if score is equal to max score, then stop all. And that should do it. So, well, hold on. Alright, yeah. So there's our pellets. They're spawning, and you can see that score is going up every time I eat a pellet. And you can see that max score is also going up every time we clone a pellet. So to show you, I'm not going to eat all of the pellets. That might take too long. So instead, I'm just going to change these both to 1. Now there should only be 1 pellet. Oh, we should probably set the position of Pac-Man. So we're going to move Pac-Man to the center of our screen. Then let's go to motion and say go to the center of the screen when we start our game. And now he always starts here. That's probably a good idea. Alright, so there's that 1 pellet up there, and I'm just going to run away from the ghost and get that pellet, and you see that I've eaten all of the pellets and I've won the game. Well, I think that will wrap up our video on making Pac-Man in Scratch. I hope this was helpful and informative. Thank you for watching.